Republican Congressman Issa of the House Judiciary Committee joins me now. You're in California in close contact with your colleagues and making news by saying that you're predicting something completely different will happen with Michael Flynn. Not a sentencing, but what and why?
Well, Judge Sullivan has dealt with this before. You might remember that he picked up the Ted Stevens case only to find that prosecutors had violated the late senator's rights, lied, and withheld information. In this case, he's faced with a similar situation in that he's seeing a general who was lied to and told he wasn't a target, he was basically not needing to worry about Miranda, didn't need a lawyer, so that they could trap him into a lie where they knew something, didn't disclose it, and then asked him a question in order to get him in a situation where they then had leverage on him. So this kind of misconduct can only be held accountable by a federal judge, and this is a federal judge who goes all the way back through three different presidents, and is a no-nonsense judge.
Yeah, it's interesting. How surprised were you to hear James Comey admit that it hadn't been handled correctly with Flynn?
Not a bit. They've been playing fast and loose with how do they get the president for a long time.
So just let me step in for 1 second. Do you think he said that because he felt like they got busted on this, or was this just something that was a mistake?
Well, every once in a while he remembers something, and in this case, he apparently remembered that most White Houses would have said, we're not making these people available. They will all be represented by lawyers. There won't be any such thing as just a harmless question. And that appears to be exactly the problem. They took advantage and continue to take advantage of a president who's making information available in an extraordinary way, very different than President Obama. And in this case, there's a real question of, did they get what they want from Flynn? Well, apparently they did, but they did by trapping him into a lie.
Do you feel that James Comey, in the words of Democrat Congressman Hank Johnson of the great state of Georgia, do you think that Republicans are raking James Comey over the coals? That's his quote. Well,
I like Hank. He and I served together for a long time. But the fact is that when you have new developments of things such as months and months in which they essentially dragged out dating a 302 long after they were essentially using it, these wrongdoings in front of the FISA court, and Comey is directly involved, there's certainly a reason to make the record complete. What I will say, and I challenge Hank Johnson, as new information comes forward, not to let the new Democratic majority in the House shut down the kind of discovery that is necessary in a free democracy.
I mean this with all due respect, and even some of your own colleagues in the House have criticized how this has been handled. Is James Comey better at this than Republicans are? I mean, you've had several bites at the apple. I mean, and 245 times last time either he didn't know or he didn't remember about sometimes basic stuff. I mean, does he have an advantage in any of this that we don't know about?
He has a huge advantage. He has the clock. The administration, if you will, always has the clock. And in this case, the clock is running out. So what would normally be 245, I don't remember, 245 demands to this to Department of Justice to provide at least some of the information that he says he doesn't remember. There's no time for that. And this Department of Justice, under no real management, continues to withhold information and even cause him to withhold information on those occasions in which he knew something, Harris.
What do you mean, no real management?
Well, it's very clear that between the time President Trump came into office and now, these U.S. attorneys and the FBI have continued to do whatever they want. It's not just the special prosecutor. You know, Jeff Sessions was a good senator, but he clearly did not take control of the Department of Justice, and they continue to withhold information. A good example is even the Fast and Furious investigation that had already been essentially settled by the court. They dragged their feet for over a year trying not to give us the information.
From the House Judiciary Committee? I mean, did you have conversations with him?
Say that again.
Did you talk with him about this, Jeff Sessions?
I did. And, it wasn't an area he was recused, but it was an area in which he allowed the so-called career professionals to continue to not give information that an Obama appointee, Amy Berman Jackson, had told them to give us. So this is a Department of Justice that institutionally continues to not want to cooperate with Congress. This is where the new Attorney General is going to have to come in and at least restore some level of cooperation in Congress's legitimate oversight, and that'll include the Senate and hopefully a Democratic House that still wants to know about people's rights being trampled on.
Congressman Issa, I so appreciate your transparency. I ask these questions because it's so late in 2018, and Republicans have had a shot to get to talk with James Comey. Heck, he's called into public radio. He pretty much talks to everybody. So it's a little hard to believe that we've gotten this deep into 2018 without many answers from him. That's why I asked those questions, and I knew you'd be transparent about it.
No, it's a fair question, and investigation after investigation by myself, my predecessor, Henry Waxman, and others, you see this slowness that happens, and slowness really is the advantage when you have something that has to be investigated. It doesn't matter what the wrongdoing is.
From the great state of California today, Congressman Darrell Issa, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Harris.